My name is Dave Hunt, and I'm joined by Michael Swig.
How's it going?
Good. You spent a lot of time not at home this weekend.
Yeah, I was at a convention all week. I'll talk about my adventures in that and what I'm playing and watching because I didn't really play that much.
Yeah.
But yeah, I made it. I survived the convention. A lot of hand sanitizer was required to do so, but I survived.
Yep, and we had our own crazy week in our household. Anyways, thank you guys all for the support. My wife is fine. She had her mini. It's when you say surgery, it sounds bad, but she spent more time in the hospital, physically in the hospital, than she was doing the surgery and the discharge. So yeah. She just had some kidney stone issues, but she's good. And you guys' support on Twitter and Discord and everything like that was really cool. Even the guy that was giving me crap that she was editing the podcast while she was in the hospital, but she didn't have anything else to do. So
got to do something, and the TV selection is really bad.
It's actually not terrible, but it was also a really good time to have a Switch, ironically. All right, we are Digital Days Gaming. We are a weekly podcast that is live streamed on Twitch, Sunday nights or Monday nights. That's what I'm just going to start saying now because that seems to be the way it goes. But we are on Twitch at Digital Days Gaming. You just search that. Pretty much everything I talk about, if you search Digital Days Gaming, you'll find us. Our podcast site is digitaldaysgaming.com. There you can listen to all of the episodes. You can go back and listen to Josh if you want to when he was a guest with us. And you can also listen to some of the other previous episodes. We try to focus directly on conversational pieces. So it's something that if you were looking into things, you could figure it out, and you wouldn't feel like if you listen to episode 13 that you'd be behind. The conversations I feel like we've had around most of the news are still relevant. Yes, obviously the news is dropping during that week or the week prior, but it's still relevant. I don't really think that we've ever talked too deep on release dates or trailer impressions or anything like that. So it's mostly just been, lately it's just been a lot of what Next Gen are doing and what they are not doing. So. But if you could, however you're listening to us, if you could rate us and subscribe, that would be much appreciated. And sharing the show is always a great way to help. So we're going to jump right into the news, and we're going to talk about more Next Gen.
Yeah, this hit the day after we recorded, funny enough. And this is specifically Xbox coming out there and just kind of gave us the specs that they've been talking about and hinting at for the last year or so. Not going to bore you with all the numbers. It's 12 teraflops, which
I still
is
don't know what that is.
Yeah, it's the thing. It's the thing they care about. There's the rate shading, the hardware accelerated ray tracing, which is like the realistic lighting, which is going to be cool. But the things I and Dave thought were interesting is they're going to do the thing I kind of think is big for me, at least, is the quick resume for multiple games. So currently the systems, you can put your console to sleep and turn it back on and pick up from whatever game you're playing last. Xbox is promising that you'll be able to do that with multiple games using their hardware, their SSD technology. You'll be able to have multiple games basically pushed to the background or in like sleep mode, basically, and you'll be able to start those games up and it'll remember exactly where you were, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
Though it's funny though, like the thing with the sleep stuff is, because it takes too long to load up a game. But the SSD is supposed to get rid of, the idea that you're gonna have to spend way too much time loading a game. And then the resume, I guess, is just going to make it even faster, even though it's already supposed to be super fast. But it is a cool feature if it works. I still don't trust the current sleep mode on the current consoles with one game. So I have to see how that plays out before I will fully trust a game.
Well, and I think it's you have to be aware of how this will and won't work. Like, I think for something like a Cyberpunk or playing The Witcher or playing a Zelda game or a Mario game, like, something like this is really cool because you're playing and you get up and go to dinner and you don't want to waste energy or whatever, and you're going to be gone for multiple hours, and you come home, push the button, and within 30 seconds you're playing back where you were again. Like, that's really cool. If you're playing Overwatch or Division or Destiny, like, the servers are going to kick you off for being idle.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, and like, do you trust the resumed? Have you used it in the current generation?
Not on purpose.
Hmm.
But there have been times where, like when I was playing Horizon Zero Dawn, where when you put it into rest mode and then you bring it out of rest mode, it was kind of just there. Like it never damaged anything. I've never had any save file corrupted or anything. And there's been times where I've even gone back into where I thought that, like I thought I had turned it off, and I come back and it's like it's kicked me to the Division menu screen, or it's like I got returned to the title screen by Destiny just because I left it on and walked away.
Yeah.
So that's just a little bit more of irresponsibility of my part, but I'm also kind of in the habit of, with as much stuff as I have in my office now, I don't really turn a lot of stuff off unless I'm going to be gone for long periods of time, because like the computers are updating, or there's something else that's running in the background that I still need to power things, or it's charging things. Like I don't have my ideal setup to the point of where I feel comfortable like walking away from something, and then I have to come back and I have to turn it on, and then I have to turn this other thing on, and then that has to boot up. So it's easier for me just to leave it on. But I've also been like that. Like my dad was like that too. Like our PC at home, like even in the 90s, in the mid 90s, my dad would never turn it off. He was always having it do something overnight, like back in the day, like defragging or backing up to zip drives. My parents were accountants, so they still are accountants. So he he would always have the computers do things at like 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock in the morning, to where he would like teach me to like turn monitors off, but I would never I never really went to shut anything down.
Hmm. Yeah, for the most part, it's worked for me. Though I still save the game before I like walk away from it, just in case it doesn't work. Yeah, the only time I run into issues is where you would expect it, where it's like a live service game. We'll just kick you for being idle, which thank God. But I've had maybe one or two instances over the last like 6 years where it's just like I had like a power issue and that fucked up resume play, and I might have lost a little bit of progress if I didn't save it. So I don't like fully trust it, but I will use it. But I always make sure I save before I do anything.
Yeah, and I also think that unless you're doing something, unless it's like an old school style of game, or like I mean, I guess
Mhm.
Jedi Fallen Order had this as well, but most of these games almost have an auto feature. Like every time you cross an auto save feature, every time you cross either a certain threshold or you complete like a cutscene. Like even I'll talk more about it in like what we're playing, but like Zelda had areas that would just save when you went near them or interacted with them, and it didn't. I never even really knew that I was saving.
Mhm. Yeah. Okay. So let's go on to the thing where I think the big chunk of our discussion is going to go. Though I want to break the fourth wall. Dave, you started your Audacity recording, right?
I did.
Okay. Cool. Just wanted to break the fourth wall because paranoia. Okay. This is the big
He
thing.
still doesn't trust me. 18 episodes of
I,
this and X amount
hey
of other
man.
ones, and he still doesn't trust me. I think I've
Hey
only messed
man.
up one episode.
OCD is a motherfucker. We're doing something a little different, breaking the fourth wall again.
Yeah.
We're doing something a little bit different with how we do everything, so it just messes me off the flow.
I'm taking I'm taking pressure away from him, and he's adding more to himself.
Nope, it's just hitting, it's hitting me. Okay, so this is the thing, Dave. You were very happy when you saw this information. So,
I got a prediction right, sort of.
Yeah. Your wild conspiracies paid off for you.
Oh wow, thanks.
The the Xbox Series X, it's gonna be backwards compatible. It's gonna be backwards compatible with the Xbox OG, Xbox 360, Xbox One. We already knew that, and all your old accessories for the Xbox One will work with the Series X, which is cool. But they have something called Smart Delivery, and this quote unquote technology or whatever feature will basically determine whatever game you're playing like the right version of the game, which means if you buy an Xbox One version of a game and you pop it into the system, if the publisher allows it, your game will just become the Xbox Series X version of that game. So it is basically an upgrade. You're only buying the game once. So Xbox Studio games, studios owned by Xbox, all their games will have that feature. So if you buy Halo Infinite on Xbox One, you will be getting the Xbox One Series X version of that game for free. This is pretty big. This is something that Dave was wondering how they would do that, and I was a little like skeptical about like technically extra work's gonna have to go into that. I'm still wondering if there will be some sort of like downloading.
Oh, I'm sure there'll be like a texture pack. I
Yeah,
mean, Borderlands did it.
yeah,
Like Borderlands did it with
yeah,
the Game of the Year version. They released a version of the game, and if you had a Pro or an X, you had a texture pack that you had to download in order to get the benefits from it. And it was cool that it was an optional download because like some people just don't care about that.
yeah. My curiosity would be, will it just force you to download that texture pack or that upgrade, or will it give you an option of like, hey, we see you're running the Xbox One version. Do you want to download the Xbox Series X version of this game, or do you want us to patch whatever version of your game is? I wonder how they'll
Mm.
put that there. It sounds like there will just be branding on the box or some sort of branding on it that says like smart delivery.
So I'm gonna derail you right now because you actually just made me think of something. So
Yeah.
Halo is known for their multiplayer, right?
Hmm.
We've always talked about frame rate and resolution and performance affecting multiplayer.
Yeah.
Do you think that if you're playing Halo and I'm playing Halo and I'm on a Series X and you're on a One, are we going to be able to play in the same match against each other?
We will be. When it comes to frame rate, they're just going to lock the frame rate. They're promising that they can potentially hit 120 frames per second on the Xbox One X or Series X. They're just going to cap multiplayer experiences to where if it's a 30 frame per second game or 60 frame per second game, everyone, no matter what console they're in, are going to be locked to that. So there might be some issues, since you ran that up, where the Series X version is just going to be locked into the highest possible specs for the Xbox One X. So
But they
that
don't
would
lock
kind of
stuff
suck.
like that on. I mean, they don't lock that on PC though.
They don't, but it's not that like the Call of Duty. Technically, yeah, you might have someone running 120 frames per second or something crazy for that, and they might get like a slight advantage from doing that. But in a grand scheme of things, it shouldn't be too much of a problem. But
Okay.
they could just lock it.
But so we've never had cross generation play, have we?
I don't believe so, but technically PCs are all generations, so it wouldn't be the first time. Because if you think
Yeah,
about
but
it,
you're
people with
still on
low end
like when you're on
PCs play with high
PC.
end.
Yeah, I know, but when you're playing on PC, you're connected to the Steam network, or you're connected to the Epic network, or you're connected
Mhm.
to the X network, and it was always been, the PS3. I mean, I guess they never really referred to it as this. They've always just referred to it as PSN. But
Mhm.
you, if you were playing Battlefield 4 on PS3 and somebody else was playing it on PS4, you couldn't see each other.
Yeah, yeah, and that was just a Sony thing. But in terms of like if someone's gonna have an advantage because they're running a high end PC versus a low end PC, that's been around since PC gaming's been around.
No, no, no. I get
Uh,
that. I get what you're saying, but we've never had. We're starting to get cross play now, like where Call of Duty
mhm,
Modern Warfare, Xbox can play with PlayStation, can play with PC,
mhm.
but we've never had a situation where PS5 can play with a PS4 player yet.
Yeah, which we are now gonna hit that point.
Yeah. So it's just
Uh,
interesting to me because again, it's another reason. It's another reason for people to possibly upgrade.
or
It's
not.
right. Yes, it could allow them to. It would be a factor of them not upgrading. Because like, why does it matter? I can still play with my PS4 friends, or it could be them upgrading. Like, I really do want a better experience, and I can still play with my friends that maybe aren't upgrading as soon as I am.
Yeah, it could go either way, though it must suck if you're like a kid and you're trying to get your parents to buy you the new thing. And if the parent is well knowledgeable enough about this stuff, it'd probably be a killer. Like if Owen was like into gaming or like he was a little older and I need a PS5 and you'd be like, give me 10 reasons that I can't shoot down, you would probably shoot down like all the reasons just because
Right.
it's just like, well, no, friend list is going to work. All this stuff is going to be compatible.
It's just sounding more and more like this is a third iteration, and they're just calling it a PS5 instead of a PS4 Pro.
Basically, I mean, we hit the point where it's kind of hard to, the upgrade from PS1 to PS2, super noticeable, PS2 to PS3, super noticeable, but then PS3 to PS4 wasn't that noticeable. It was more about stability. And then 4 to 5, there's not going to be much of a difference. X to Series X. Sorry, I use PlayStation as my base because it's just easier than
4 to 5,
Xbox.
1 to S.
Yeah, yeah. It's like Xbox to oh fuck. I really hope they fix that one day, but they're not. Yeah. So the smart delivery thing, it is going to be based on what the publishers want to do. Do they want to give free upgrades, or do they want to do what Ubisoft did last gen or the current gen, where there's like a $10 fee to upgrade?
EA did that as well.
EA did that as well.
Yes.
Yeah. But Cyberpunk, CD Projekt Red came out and said gamers should never be forced to purchase the same game twice or pay for upgrades. Owners of Cyberpunk 2077 for Xbox One will receive the Xbox Series X upgrade for when it becomes available. So Cyberpunk is locked in. CD Projekt Red, who are just really good in terms of like, they're really consumer friendly. They are going to do the smart delivery feature. So I know I have a couple people that I know that are just like, they don't know what to do. It's like you buy it in September, you want to play it right away. But if the new consoles are 2 months out, do you hold back and just wait for the next one?
Or you start playing and then you get your new console and you can just continue your experience at the better thing.
Yeah, and now this guarantees like, hey, I'm going to get the next version for free when it comes out. So
yeah, and I think it like in a company like CD Projekt Red setting the standard is going to trickle down and have effects for other companies.
Oh, it has to, especially the holiday season. Like you have to.
So I mean, for the most part, I would fully expect Ubisoft to follow suit. All the Watch Dogs game, Watch Dogs Legion, and whatever Rainbow Six Quarantine. I would just fully expect this to work. And it sounds like they've already. We didn't really talk about it, but they've already pretty much confirmed Rainbow Six is just gonna work.
Yeah, Rainbow Six is just gonna work. But this is cool. Like, it's good that a major publisher. I mean, obviously Microsoft's a major publisher, but they're also the manufacturer, so they have reason to support this feature. But Cyberpunk supporting this feature is pretty damn cool and should pressure other studios coming out during the holiday. But yeah, no, it's just a good consumer friendly move on Microsoft's part, and then for companies like Cyberpunk to take advantage of it, or CD Projekt Red.
Yeah, I mean, I think it also is. It takes a little bit of a burden off the developer. I mean, we've always heard that they develop the game on a scale of 1 to 10. They develop the game at like they try to shoot for a 10 in terms of like performance and frame rate and resolution and number of things on the screen and how many leaves and details and all those things, and then they start to I guess I think they call optimize, and when they optimize they start bringing it starts bringing the level down to maybe an 8 or a 7 or a 6, depending on what they're trying to do or accomplish. And we saw that with like Horizon Zero Dawn, like and again I'm just using broad numbers as an example, but on a regular PS4 maybe it's at a 5 or a 6, and on a Pro it's like at a 7.5. And like ideally, like I'm sure Guerrilla had the goal of like we want it to be able to do this, and like okay, well, like here's what the limitations we have. So hopefully, like this is just them kind of like turning a dial up and and releasing a patch that shouldn't be too hard for them to. They shoot for the stars and settle for the clouds, but they still made it work on the stars.
Yeah.
So hopefully this is just them taking that chunk from the stars to the cloud and then releasing it to somebody and then letting you download it. And they're already working on it, so I don't feel like that may or may not be wasted development time.
You would hope not, especially now that they like CD Projekt Red. They kind of bought themselves more times with this delay, so now they can prepare this. They'll get the game out in September, and then they'll have time to work on whatever delivery mechanism they're going to have when new console releases this year. Throwing a curveball at Dave real quick as we move away from this story. CD Projekt Red also last week, continuing like their consumer-friendly streak. CD Projekt Red's part of the same company, or they own GOG, goodoldgames.com, which is, a Steam competitor on PC. They updated their refund policy to where now you can get a full refund for any game you play on their service for up to within 30 days, no matter if you downloaded, launched it, or how long you played it. This compared to Steam's policy, which I believe Steam
10
is
hours.
4 hours, I
Okay.
believe, where you can return a game as long as you played under 4 hours of it. Good Old Games now has just moved that up, or their refund policy to 30 days doesn't matter, which is really cool. And I hope that puts pressure on Steam, but also the console manufacturers, because we've heard horror stories of canceling a pre-order on PSN is apparently a nightmare, and you have to call. Apparently, everybody gets one sort of rule over on PSN if you like work the Sony customer support.
Yeah, I mean, and I know like GameStop, I think, does like 14 days and they give you store credit.
Yeah, store credit of the current trade in value.
Okay.
Which is like pretty rough because they can mess with those numbers as much as they want. Um, yeah, this is. I thought this was a really cool move, obviously, because it's consumer friendly. It
30
will
days
probably
is a
be
long time, though.
30 days is a super long time. Like the Steam 4 hour thing, there's a lot of indie games that you can like narrative experience indie games that you can finish in like 2 hours.
Yeah, but I could have beaten Jedi Fallen Order in 30 days.
Yeah, but the thing is, very in that terms of service, there's like legal terms for like don't be a dick, basically. Of don't be abusive. They'll find if people are being abusive with it. If you're doing this every couple weeks or have a ton of returns, they'll just start denying you. I'm sure there'll be some asshole that will take the time to make a 5,000 GOG accounts and just do it that way. But this was a pretty cool move. I'm sure it's going to have to be refined a little bit as people abuse it. But hopefully, like Sony and Microsoft next gen figure out a better way to be consumer friendly. I still think it's ridiculous you can't cancel a pre-order on PSN.
Yeah, I also think it's dumb that they charge you the whole amount right away too.
Yeah, that sucks too, especially they'll push their $120 digital editions, $80 digital editions. It's crazy.
Yeah. So I mean, I feel like at least with the next gen, like this is probably why we're not hearing a whole lot of stuff about what's going on, because it's a moving these consoles are going to be more evolving than any other console we've had.
Yeah,
in terms of like how the infrastructure is going to be changing as development continues.
Yeah. All right. Moving on to the news. There's actually a lot of news in the last week or so. Biggest one outside of the Xbox just casually dropping like their stuff on a blog post on a Monday. GDC has been officially quote unquote postponed. And that most likely means it's just canceled for this year. Game Developers Conference was supposed to take place March 16th to the 20th in San Francisco, but due to the coronavirus spread, enough people were pulling out. PlayStation pulled out, Facebook pulled out, couple other people pulled out. Microsoft, Gearbox, Iron Galaxy, Kojima Productions, Blizzard, Amazon, Epic, Unity, all pulled out early last week or the week prior. And come Wednesday, Thursday, GDC just had to come out and they didn't say they canceled it. They said they postponed it, but this is a huge event. You kind of can't postpone these events. So it was postponed. People that did purchase tickets, which are super expensive, they can get a refund for that. Obviously, if you got an Airbnb or flight, you're kind of screwed on that.
Airbnb is not much. Like, I mean, you don't have as much experience as I do with booking them and researching them, but you have like almost like a 2-week window, like prior to it, where you get almost all your, if not all of it, almost all of it.
Okay, so, but it's funny, we're only 2 weeks away, so they like brought it just in time to do this. Uh, eh, there's going to be Rami for Rami Ishmael. He is going to do a charity thing next month for the people that basically are screwed over from this, because this is where a lot of indie people go. This is where a lot of like smaller devs and publishers go to make deals, and it being canceled is very detrimental to a lot of video game business. Because this is where you go to make deals. So there is going to be something to help out some of the people that are kind of just left in the code right now. Especially a lot of international people travel to this, so that's expensive. Especially like
Flight cancellation sucks.
yes, and an international flight like cancellation unless you buy the bullshit insurance, which has all sorts of like clauses in it where it's like, oh, you can only cancel for this, this, or this, but not for this. That is going to be like, that's super like harmful to a lot of bottom lines for publishers, developers, people just that use GDC for its purpose. It's a business conference for video games. But everyone was pulling out, so it just makes sense. Like, why hold the event? The coronavirus stuff is getting really, kind of scary. It's starting to hit the U.S. more and more. Like every day, we're hearing news stories. So it's in the interest of everyone, safety wise, to just avoid this. People pulled out of PAX for this. PAX just went, this weekend. So we'll see how that went. Because anytime people are at big conventions, got to worry about that. But Dave, do you see any way that GDC could be moved? Like, you kind of know, like, the convention schedule. Like,
I mean, there is time in July and August. I mean, that sounds terrible to be in San Francisco in July and August, though.
but here's the thing: August is Gamescom, and you're not going to get the international people.
Yeah, I mean, Gamescom and PAX are so close to each other, and
Mhm.
PAX West are so close to each other, and I don't really think that's ever affected anything. And I mean, if they're gonna do it, they're gonna have to do it probably like between July 15th and August 1st. Like that's their window.
Yeah, which is only like what 3 weeks after E3, but E3 is we
Yeah,
don't know
but
what the
E3. I
fuck
mean,
E3 is.
Gamescom is 8 weeks after E3. So,
That's what I'm saying. Like squeezing GDC in
yeah,
there is like really.
yeah, but I feel like PAX West, Tokyo Game Show, and Gamescom are so, and Paris Games Week are all within like a 6 week window.
They are, yeah.
So
It's like Gamescom August, TGS or PAX West
yeah,
is
it's
end of
Gamescom,
August, end of
PAX,
September.
TGS, and then Paris.
September, yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
Yeah, so I mean, I think it's just a matter of those things. And the biggest thing, like you said, though, is there are people that go to GDC that don't, companies and CEOs that go to GDC that don't go to PAX and don't go to, Gamescom. Like they might go there if something specific is there, but these are like, developers, like not PR. Like I don't feel like somebody's going to Gamescom as an indie developer trying to show a publisher their game. Like I feel like that relationship's already been established, and then you're coming to Gamescom to help sell your game because that relationship was established at a GDC.
Yeah, Gamescom definitely has business going on, but yeah, it's not at like GDC is where you have this tech demo stuff being shown in a hotel. You're getting those like elevator pitches, where you hope you can get funding so you can attend an E3 or a
Yeah,
Gamescom.
which is why like I almost feel like there are some really cool opportunities from a press standpoint at a GDC, but it's
Mhm.
mostly like getting like in-depth interviews with somebody that maybe you don't get to see at like a gaming event, because like there's
Mhm.
and he's there because you get 10 minutes of somebody's time, but he's the the final say on certain things.
Yeah.
So talking to you see a lot more of the analytics people and the budget guys there to see if it's worth it, and that's where I think that's like a really cool aspect of game development. Just to you see bits and pieces of it as you're hearing about, like in Jason Schreier's book, or in like if you did watch Mythic Quest, they had an episode dedicated on Mythic Quest to this company that was in there and going through the game development process of pitching their idea to a studio.
Yeah. It's funny though. Last year I almost went to GDC. This year I got really close to going to GDC because one of my friends goes every year. He's trying to break into the industry, and he was going to go this year. Got me this close to going, but I just kept like, no, it's just I don't have that much incentive to go. Or we're trying to build up again, so it's like I kind of want to go for that. But then also like I don't know if I want to put the expenses into that. And then talking to him on Saturday at the convention I was just at, and him just being like, yeah, I spent like 4 hours on the phone yesterday trying to claim my airline insurance to get the thing canceled, and the airline didn't know how to handle canceling it, so they told me to call back. He was trying to get his like Airbnb money back, but apparently you have to like go through customer service for that too, and it just turned into a whole thing. I'm just like, I'm so glad I didn't commit to doing it.
How soon until we start seeing companies having concerns about E3?
So there already have been questions. I forget who, a media outlet reached out to E3, and E3's response was, we're planning full steam ahead, but they are monitoring the situation with the coronavirus. E3 is 3 months away. I don't know if the coronavirus thing will be situated by then based on how things are reportedly going. But I wouldn't be shocked if we probably next month start hearing people say maybe it's not, or at least like the international company saying like, hey, it's probably not going to be worth it for us to fly out for E3, even if it's 2 months away and everything could be fine by then. Because most companies are probably already they're doing their E3 planning, like you would imagine, right? Like they've like we ourselves would be planning right around now. I can't imagine a publisher who has to like have an entire staff and booth set up.
Yeah, absolutely. Because like NVIDIA's GPU technology conference will now be online only due to coronavirus concerns. So NVIDIA is doing certain things, and I could see maybe certain aspects of E3 might still go on, but I could see Ubisoft saying, hey, you know what? We're just going to do a live stream of our show, and we're going to do it in a controlled environment.
Yeah. Maybe someone will go to Jeff Keighley. The Game Awards, is like a trailer reveal. Game Awards actually did a thing where you can play like demos of certain announcements, I think, during the last Game Awards. They had like partnership with Steam. Maybe this is when like Jeff Keighley just steps in, is like, I know how to do like a digital showcase. And then you just do something with him and just have trailers, and then maybe release some demos privately for media or something.
Yeah, I mean, it's getting kind of crazy.
Yeah. All right, we're gonna keep going through the news. I had fun grabbing news this week, Dave. You can tell.
It's all good.
All right, so we've been talking about. So this is from Business Insider. The issues with Stadia seem to be very related to how Google's handling things. Business Insider talked to a couple developers who remained anonymous, and apparently the reason games aren't coming to Stadia is Google's approach to developers and publishers has been poor, at least, or to say the least. There's only 28 titles available on Stadia right now. They just announced like 5 more games like last week, 2 weeks ago. Their next big game is Doom Eternal, which is March 20th. So there's not a lot happening. And apparently there's 2 issues. Stadia is doing, or Google is doing a poor job of developer outreach, like reaching out to people and giving them a reason to be on their platform. and two,
Like making a dev kit.
uh, and two is the money is really low. Like the cut they're offering developers is apparently really low, like so low that it's not even part of the conversation. Someone said, uh, which is kind of crazy. And the Business Insider said they spoke to multiple developers, and they all kind of said the same thing. The like the incentive is just non-existent, and then there's just not enough money, and a lot of it you'll just see like the incentive.
There's no return on investment.
Yeah, yeah. The
No,
the what was that?
no, I mean there's so you put forth the effort. It sounds like it's not easy to necessarily, as much as Google made it sound like it at the beginning. It doesn't sound like it's super easy to port to Stadia. And then when you're putting the time, like we were just talking about, is it worth it? To is it going to help CD Projekt Red sell more copies of Cyberpunk if it's upgraded for free? Yes. Is the return on investment and the time investment worth it to CD Projekt Red? Obviously, yes. Is that return on investment enough for them to go to Google Stadia? Apparently not.
Yeah, and this is like when you read the article, it's on Business Insider. And it's just developers just talking pretty candidly about, when you decide to go with a platform, you have to think, is our platform large enough? Is that audience like hungry enough for the games that we make? And the answer to those are just like, yep, people are hungry from games where that audience is so small. And hearing that the financial stuff just isn't worth it for developers because they still have to put work into it. They still have to make sure they're ready for that platform, which apparently isn't as easy as Google, claimed it to be. Which, Dave, I think you theorized a couple times of like, compared to what they said to the reality, sounds like it's, not as true as, they were talking about. And apparently, people are worried about just no one trusts, or a lot of people just don't trust that Google's going to stick with it. Like, do you want to get into a long-term relationship with Google if you know that they're notorious for just killing projects, no matter if they're popular or high profile?
I think the most telling thing right now is that Stadia has been quote unquote out for about, I think, like 4 months now, maybe 5. November, December timeframe, and we're on the brink of Ubisoft, who had a huge partnership with them initially, testing through, and they were even Assassin's Creed was on their stage on a pretty regular basis of them showing off their tech. And then, as an example, like Warlords of New York comes out this week, and they don't even know when it's coming to Stadia. They just said soon.
Yeah.
And they've been working with Stadia since pretty much day one. And something has changed in their business model. And what makes it even more interesting, if the return on investment isn't there, there's less middlemen in between this process, because you don't have to press a disc, you don't have to make a box. Like, you have to set something up in a digital storefront, but they already have experience setting that up on Steam and on Xbox and on PSN, and it would seem like it would just be there. But now there's got to be some data that they, like, I don't, again, round numbers, Google comes to them and says, whatever it is, 18%, 35%, of the, and then a company goes, okay, well, how many active Stadia users are there? And they say, I don't even know what they say, 300,000. And you're like, okay, so, and you talk about good attach rates. We years ago we talked about attach rates to consoles. You talk about a good attach rate for a game. 10% is a fantastic attach rate. If you can get 10% of your user base, it's 30,000 people.
Yeah.
At 22%, no, I'm good, thanks.
Yeah. And I would assume when these developers are talking about like the offer's too low, it's not even an incentive. I'm wondering if that is them saying like they're being offered to be like part of Stadia Pro, and what type of deal they're giving them, where they give away 2 games a month.
Mm-hmm.
Like
and
that
we
offer
know their
must
competition is obviously giving out better deals because we've seen some great stuff on PSN or on PS Plus and Xbox Live.
Yeah, and I wouldn't be surprised if those deals are, hey, if this many people download your game, you can make this much, and then they have the numbers of like, oh, we have 30 million PSN users and like 15 million of them have plus,
Right.
They have those numbers, but like you said with Stadia, they could say like we have 300,000 people and 10% of the people are, gonna download
I
this.
remember like on PS3, like hearing like Gran Turismo had the best attach rate, and that was like 8% of 8 out of every 100 PS3 owners own Gran Turismo. So like that means like there's 92 people that don't. So
exactly, but that was good numbers.
Yeah,
and with Stadia.
And if it's Stadia, if they're if they're shooting for a certain attach rate percentage, they're like, okay, so we're gonna sell. Best case scenario was sell this many, but you're only gonna give us this much dollars for that many. Like, no, I'm sorry, like it's gonna cost us this much to put it on your platform. No.
Yeah, especially reaching out to indie devs, which is probably why we haven't seen a ton of indie stuff on Stadia. They don't have large staffs, they don't have the resources, so they're just going to go to Epic and get like the best cut you can get from a storefront and a larger audience.
Or they go to Steam that says, hey, like we'll let you put the game on there early and keep iterating on it, and you can sell it. I don't think Epic's allowed early access yet.
And with Steam, it's like the more you sell, the bigger your cut will be, because that was their response to Epic. There's incentive, It's kind of crazy though, like because Google hired a bunch of video game people, who you thought would have foreseen some of these problems, but it's not working.
And again, no, if they're really in this game, if they're in this for the long haul, where's your exclusive?
Yeah, it's Guilt, I think, is their only exclusive. They might have 1 or 2 others.
You gotta have more. You gotta have something bigger. Like,
and the crazy thing is, we talk about Microsoft when they announced like the 5 people or the 5 studios they bought, and it took a while before we started to hear about exclusive games, but there was at least some in the chamber, like Bleeding Edge. Stadia, we heard that they made studios, but they didn't have any announcements for like the couple studios they acquired. They just bought the Journey to the Savage Planet studio, which is good that they bought a studio, but we're not going to hear about their next game for a long time. We still haven't heard games from like Stadia original games, because they made like 1 or 2 studios for Stadia exclusive games, but they just announced too early, so they didn't even have an exclusive from those studios to show.
I mean, their biggest title that Stadia has currently right now is Destiny 2. I would say is the most, like I guess Doom's coming, and if Doom works well on there, like that'll be a huge win for them. But currently, I feel like it's Destiny 2, and the biggest selling point is bring your character from your other systems to play on the here.
Yeah, but don't play with your friends.
Right. Like, so it's like it's a portal, like everybody's the circle that I run with in terms of like video game people that I talk to, like outside of Michael, their Stadia is like a portable Destiny machine for them. But that's also like a lot of the people that I associate with that have been playing Destiny for X amount of years.
Yeah.
So,
we'll just have to wait and see what happens. Especially Stadia, PlayStation isn't doing E3s anymore. Stadia would do really well if they just took Sony's old spot and used that as a platform, but it seems like they have no interest in doing that. But now we know why. Remember, we were just talking about like how Stadia back in like December, January said like, oh, it's not up to us to announce new games. And then last week or 2 weeks ago, they announced 5 games coming to Stadia.
It is up to you to announce new games when your companies don't want to make games for you.
Yeah, exactly. And that's now that all makes sense. It's just, they're like, oh, it's not up to us to announce. It's because like, oh, we don't have shit. And then they announce 5 games because they must have probably just made those deals. And they're like, shit, put a press release together.
A listener sent me a friend code. I don't have his name in front of me, but I appreciate it. And I didn't really get a chance to mess with it like I wanted to. I wanted to keep doing it, but then I also heard it wasn't running great on Chrome browsers, anyways. And I got an email the other day where it charged me like the $10. I'm like, damn it.
Oh, I've been looking at mine. My friend pass expires the 20th, and I'm waiting a days. Especially, I've been using xCloud because I got access to xCloud. That works fantastic. It's in beta right now, but the library is at least huge, and I'm playing a bunch of games on it.
And Nvidia's thing apparently attaches to your Steam library.
Yeah, you don't get your full Steam library, but you get a good chunk of it through their partners, which is fantastic. I just wish there was a way for me to like easily hook up the Nvidia thing to my TV, but they're still working. But that is an incentive for me to do that. You know, like right now in the tiers of streaming, it's it's number one is xCloud for me. Number two would be PS Now, though I just still don't have that much incentive there. But that Shield stuff looks really interesting. Or Shield. I keep calling it Shield. The Nvidia thing is really interesting, and I want to see where that goes. But Stadia seems like it's in trouble. Like I'm canceling my Stadia as soon as it comes up, and I'm not looking back.
Not for a while, at least.
No, not until they announce like some super cool, amazing exclusive. But there's no reason for me to jump on that. All right. We're almost done with news. There's two more stories. This one will probably be real quick. Death Stranding is officially coming to Steam and Epic Store for PC in June. We've been wondering when this would happen. We knew this wasn't going to be console exclusive forever, but it's just been kind of weird. Their messaging for it, it's been kind of on and off. But it is coming to PC in June. Which is cool for people that want to play that. I did not like this game much at all. But it is at least coming to PC so more people can experience whatever the hell this is. Interesting enough, 505 Games appears to be... Oh, that not appears. 505 Games is the one publishing Death Stranding on PC.
Which is interesting. I would think that Sony would just publish it themselves.
Yeah, especially, we have the rumors that, someone's going to be publishing Horizon Zero Dawn, so everyone assumes that would be PlayStation, but 505's is going to do it, which is weird, though, because Kojima Productions could have just published it themselves, technically, on PC, but I guess it's just easier.
I wonder if you can, though, because Sony owns the rights. No, I don't know what it is. I thought. No,
I'm talking about Death Stranding.
No, I know, but doesn't the deal that they signed, that Kojima signed with Sony, had some kind of caveat to it? Sony owns the IP, don't they?
No, 505 is publishing, so Kojima owns it. It was just this is exclusive. I'm sure there'll be some sort of. What was that?
I wonder if it means that this game was scheduled to be out in June. It got delayed, right?
It might. I think it was one of those delays that they never announced a initial date. But then they pushed it back.
June is 7 months after the game came out, so that's a weird number. So I was thinking like maybe a 6-month exclusivity, but now I'm thinking maybe a year exclusivity, and they agreed on a certain date and then they couldn't hit the date.
It could be, yeah. Like they nailed down what it would be, but I would feel like Sony would have had some sort of clause of just like, if you delayed it, there'll be an issue.
The little bit of discussion I heard around this today is it's gonna have some Half-Life things in it.
Costumes and weird things.
The thing that I don't think about very much with PC gaming is that people are like, they're just gonna mod the hell out of this game.
Yeah, which should be pretty fun to see.
So, I mean, that's fine. It's not Kojima's never been. I'm not a big Kojima guy. Never been a Metal Gear guy. So it is what it is. More people get a chance to see it. That's cool.
Yeah, I just want to see this at max settings because it was a gorgeous game on Pro.
Yeah, because apparently it's going to support ultra wides too.
Yeah, ultra wide. They're going all out for this, at least in their early announcements. So I'll burn out my gaming PC if I get it. If I get it, I'll wait for a Steam sale. Okay. Last news, most important story we have here. We've been chronicling this for a long time, but Antonio Banderas has just signed up to do the Uncharted movie. So we are moving ever so close. It sounds like Ruben Flesher, the guy who directed Venom, he will be directing this. He's closing in on the deal, which is crazy because the movie starts shooting at the end of March. What the fuck? But Antonio Banderas has joined a cast. They don't know what role he's going to be. There's a couple options for him, but because of the age stuff between him and Tom Holland, I'm wondering character, because you have like Rafe and other villains that he could like squeeze into. But we have another actor. We have a potential director as of now, and apparently it's going into production at the end of the month. So we might be getting this much closer. It already has a release date though, so it's March 5th next year. We will be seeing an Uncharted movie. What that will look like, we have no fucking idea.
Uncharted Golden Delay.
Yeah, it's happening, Dave. It's happening.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. And they also added Tati Gabrielle. She is an actress from the Sabrina Netflix show. So she's also been added. We're getting there, though. Me and Dave are going to be seeing this next year. He's going to come down to Chicago. We already made that, something that will happen. But tune in next week when Ruben Flesher is out as director of this movie, and they have to look for another director. And then the movie will get delayed in production again, probably in 2 weeks. Can't wait.
Great. All right, so that is it for news. We're going to go on to what we're playing and watching. I'm going to go first, just because I know Michael's got a lot to go over with C2E2. So, like I mentioned earlier, my wife ended up in the hospital. Again, she's fine. But it was a lot of time. She was in there pretty much all day Monday and all day Tuesday. And I had just purchased the Switch earlier that weekend. So I didn't have it with me on Monday because kind of left the house in a hurry. But I did come home Monday night, and I brought it with me on Tuesday, and I got to spend a significant amount of time playing Breath of the Wild. I have played and beaten the majority of the Zelda games, if not all of them, except for maybe some of the Game Boy ones, over the last years and through my lifetime. And so I was really kind of like, it was definitely like gnawing at me in the back of my mind that I hadn't played Breath of the Wild, and I didn't even realize it was like 4 years old. But the Nintendo's ability to essentially tell the same story, and they do it with Mario as well, to tell the same story but have it feel different is just fascinating to me on how they can do this. He's asleep and it's a different Link and it's a timeline one, and like he's being helped by somebody that ends up being like a bigwig, and like Ganon has been reincarnated so many different times, so many different ways, and none of it feels bland or boring. It always has some interest or some slightly different twist to it. But, I mean, the core mechanics are there of, boy saves girl, gets sword, defeats bad guy.
It's simple, but they know how to do just everything right with like these franchises. It's kind of crazy.
There is a mechanic in this game that I currently do not like, and I think...
The breaking...
No, I don't care about that. Like, that doesn't bother me because I just pick up something else new. Like, that's fine. Like, that doesn't bother me yet. The weather.
Why does that bother you?
Because so the first part of the game like starts with the events happening, and the towers pop up out of the ground, and you need to go to 3 different shrines, and you start learning these abilities, which are really cool because like you have your bomb ability like on demand, and you have this ability to move things like with a magnet, kind of sort of magnet style thing, like on demand. It's not like a specific item you had to get, but you can change Link's clothing based on like shop going. It sounds like you're going to a couple shops, and you can see people, and you can get a different tunic, and some of it will have better. Some of it will be warmer clothing, and some of it will be not warmer clothing. And then you can also like things that you pick up in the environment, like hot peppers will heal your hearts, but it'll also like kind of warm your body briefly. And there's like a cooking mechanic that I haven't got into yet that I can see is there because I can read about it. But you're moving around the map, and you get to an area where there's visibly snow, and you can see Link physically get colder. And I needed to get to an area that was in that cold area that I didn't know how to or where to buy warmer clothing from. And you take damage when you're cold. And okay. I only have like 3 hearts. And it takes, so trying to get to that point, you would take damage. And then sometimes as you're climbing, like he has a stamina bar. I don't care about the stamina bar. Like if I make the poor mistake of climbing something that's too high, like that doesn't bother me. But I'm taking damage while I'm in there to the point of where I had to like be very strategic on walking up a hill, pausing the game, eating a pepper just to get another half a heart, to walk up another X amount of feet to eat another pepper to get another half a heart so that I don't die, just to get into the temple. It was just agitating. It was its own small puzzle, like, and that was fine. But it's just one of those things where it didn't really. I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit too. Like this when I make this sentence, it didn't do a good enough job explaining that to me.
Mm-hmm.
Of saying like I could visibly see that he's colder, and I could visibly see that he took damage because the heart started going down, and you could see him like he would act like he got hit with something, and he would take damage. He would make the motion, and his body would turn red for a second, and I died. It was just annoying because not that I need an easy mode for it or an easier mode for it, but it was just a challenge, and there wasn't anything that really kind of explained that to me of like I figured it out myself, but it took a little bit longer than it should have, I think.
Yeah. How far are you?
I don't think I'm very far. Like maybe
like how many hours?
6 or 8 at the most.
But it's already hitting you with that type of stuff early on in the game.
And I think that like once I get to like I'm going to the main village, I'm starting to hear the same similar names that I've been hearing, and I'm speaking vaguely because if somebody hasn't played it and they're really interested in it, I don't want to bore or spoil them. But I'm on my way to go somewhere else, and I've picked up other items on the way, and I'm enjoying what I'm playing, but that was just more of like an annoying nuisance of something that like I can't control. It's different if I can't figure a puzzle out, or if I need to stop and think about something, but not moving in that environment was literally killing me.
Mm-hmm.
Like trying to evaluate where I was going to go and what I was going to do was causing me to lose life.
Yeah, I could see that being a little frustrating.
But I mean, for the most part, I still have not hooked this. I haven't hooked the Switch up to my TV yet.
I did that for the first year I had it.
Yeah.
Like, honestly, it wasn't until I moved that I started to use it on my TV, and then I went right back to handheld all the time.
And then I definitely had the old game is old feeling as well. It's like, as I picked up the online service, my Ansel wanted to check out Tetris 99. She doesn't really understand it. She goes, I just want to play Tetris. I'm like, well, play this. And she's like, this isn't Tetris. I don't know what's going on here.
You just keep playing Tetris as fast as you can.
Yeah. But getting the Nintendo Online service, they give you a bunch of those other games. I played Double Dragon for like 5 minutes. I'm like, all right, I'm done. I'm good.
Mm-hmm.
I played Tecmo Bowl for a couple minutes. I'm like, I had my fill. Like, I don't want to like deep dive into these games. Like Link to the Past is on there, but I'm like, I have a brand new Zelda game to play. I want to play this, but I got this other one to play. So
yeah, did the same thing.
Yeah, so it's cool that it's there. If they add some stuff to it, it'll be interesting. But it's nothing that's drawing me. Maybe when I drive somewhere and go somewhere again and
need to be connected to the internet
to play those games.
It needs to check the internet.
Right.
To make sure you still have access to it. I found that out at an airport. I had to connect to shitty airport Wi-Fi just so it can like give me access to them for a little bit.
Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Um,
So sorry, kill
uh,
that.
I don't remember if I talked about this last week or not, but like my son Owen's been playing Mario Odyssey. Um,
Yeah, you did.
he's more fascinated with throwing the hat onto on the big dinosaur, and running around running around with him. But the assist mode I thought was cool. Like I mentioned, I guess with the arrows, and then him not being able to die. Like it's that bubble mechanic, like where it puts him in a bubble and puts him back where he was. So I think that's pretty good. But yeah, that's the Switch, and then I got to play just a little bit of Warlords of New York today. Like the servers went live. I got my code from Ubisoft to cover the game. It's a little buggy right now, but it's not really supposed to be out until tomorrow, so I'm not gonna ding it too much. Um, the the presentation for it so far has been pretty cool. Don't expect a full review on Warlords for a couple weeks, just because I want to see the seasonal content kind of flesh out, and to see how that stuff goes. So probably about, I would say, in April, like is when I would really review it. Obviously, I'll talk about it as we're going to it, and then I review that depending on how much I keep talking about it each week, the review I give will probably be compact, and then I might just do a separate one-off thing for it again.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like I could talk about that enough. So, and then you guys also told me that solo commentary that I've done that you did enjoy. So, I might do something like that for Destiny, because there's a lot of stuff going on in Destiny right now. Luke Smith released another director's cut of him talking about things, and he's talking about retiring certain weapons, which has got the community up in arms. They are releasing their top tier PvP mode again. They're essentially bringing back Trials of Osiris, which is 3v3 elimination that came from Destiny 1, that was, going, having a perfect card rewarded you with the best PvP loot. It's something that the community has been clamoring about for a long, long time. And this is what we were working towards as a community during the Empyrean Foundation. And we're like a week away from a new season, and they're already at that point again where they haven't talked to, it's March 10th or March 11th is when the new season starts, and we don't know what the story base is for it yet. So their delivery is really weird in terms of, like, they've got a week to sell people on the $10 upgrade, or the $10 season thing. And Trials is free to all players. So this is, some people were, kind of dogging it on the internet of like, oh, it's like you're bringing back old gear from D1 and old weapons from D1 and old maps from D1. I'm like, yeah, but it's free. So
can't really complain too much about that.
Right, they're not charging you for this. It'll all depend on what's in the next season to see if that's worth the investment. And then today, I rolled out of bed and was looking on Twitter, and the Final Fantasy VII demo is out in the public. We were talking about this. Was this supposed to be? This was playable at PAX, right?
Yeah, I believe it was playable at PAX.
But we didn't know that this demo was coming.
I don't think so. I know Square did pull back of their PAX stuff a little bit.
Okay.
So maybe this is a make good for that. I'm not too sure exactly how this played out, but I don't think we knew it was coming today.
And then talking to you right before we recorded, it sounds like that what I played is a little bit longer than what you played at E3.
Yeah, I played just the boss battle at E3. That is just a part of this demo.
Yeah. So, the first thing that I noticed with it is that it actually, it's very smooth, and it's a more hack and slash than I expected it to be.
Mm-hmm.
Because Final Fantasy VII the original was turn based. So this had a little bit more hack and slash, a little bit more exploration. A couple people that were in the stream with me when I was playing it. I've played a good significant chunk of Final Fantasy VII, but that was a long time ago. And I don't remember a whole bunch about it, but there's bits and pieces that I remember of it. But with the demo that I played was about an hour. And as a comparison, somebody said that was in the original version of the game, that was about a 15 or 20 minute version.
Mm-hmm.
So the voice acting seems like it's very good. There's not there's not a lot of facial animation to it, but there's interesting banter between the group. And Cloud's kind of a dick.
Yeah, I think he might have been a dick back then too.
But it's portrayed better in voice acting than it is in text.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah. So, because it came out in 97, right?
Yeah, I was 8.
Yeah. I think I was in middle school. Um, but the banter, like the back and forth, was really good. The thing that, and it's just the demo. The thing that I didn't like so far is, so it's obvious to me that you're trying to appeal to a broader audience when you're releasing this remake. Because I feel like you're gonna get the Final Fantasy audience no matter what, because they have a love for this game just from it as a standpoint of it's a Final Fantasy game. It's one of the top top 3 rated Final Fantasy games. I don't know. But the tutorial for combat as you were playing in it, I felt was very good. The game did a terrible job of telling me what the potions are for.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't. Somebody in the stream had to tell me in order to bring up a revised to bring up an unconscious teammate. You use Phoenix Down.
Yeah,
I didn't know that.
But it's a phoenix feather, so
It
Rise
doesn't look like a feather in the game when you pick it up.
But did you know it was a phoenix feather?
No.
Oh, okay. So maybe if it said phoenix feather, you would have made that connection, right?
I don't know, but it doesn't even tell you what a potion does. Like, I know what a potion does, but it could say, like, you know, like most games when you pick something up the very first time, it gives you like a prompt on the screen of like what it is, and then going forward.
But if this is just a vertical slice of the game, then it makes sense.
That's fine. But like demos nowadays are somewhat selling points of your game, and I feel like you're trying to appeal to a broader audience than just your core Final Fantasy player.
Cool. I don't want this. Not too well. I don't want this.
Oh wow, this is our first.
I don't want that. I don't want
now he's got to be like, "Hey kid,
cool.
you gotta go."
All right.
This is like when Reggie interferes
Where's Mom?
in the podcast.
Where's Mom?
She's gonna go to work.
Not home yet?
That's funny.
Work.
Okay, where's Sissy?
Billy's without her.
You need to go upstairs.
he's like casually being like, "Hey guys."
You need to go upstairs.
He's got a switch. He's got a switch. He's like ready to talk about games. Yeah, but like I don't think they need to appeal to a broader audience because Final Fantasy VII is already super broad, like of an audience. Like this demo, I think is just like a goodwill for fans more than it is like selling to Final Fantasy people or people that haven't played Final Fantasy before.
Yeah, but I think that
there was no hype.
Just doing a remake for this game is going to automatically get those people like already.
Yeah, but this is at least a goodwill of the people that are like, oh, I still don't know about the gameplay or the character models, how they look. This like this kid kidnapped right in front of Dave. They don't need to appeal to anyone really with this game. This game's going to sell no matter what. I feel like the demo's just a make good. I don't know if this will get people more on the fence than it will get people that haven't heard of Final Fantasy VII.
Yeah, okay, so like for me though, like I didn't have a huge interest in this. Even when you and I were talking about coverage, like it always looked cool and I understood what it was but I didn't have a desire to play it. Playing it today, like I want to play this. Like I thought this game got delayed until September, but apparently it's only been delayed until April.
Yeah.
So like this is playing that hour demo, this game is now on my radar.
Oh shit.
of something that I truly want to play. However, it needs to, and maybe it will do a better job when the final version of the game comes out. I fully understand. I've been doing this long enough. Like this is probably a 9 to 11 month old slice that we're playing. And
also from like not the very beginning of the game either.
Right. I was like level 6 or 7 at the start of it or something.
Yeah.
So, but I the stream's there. I'm gonna see if I can export it to YouTube so you guys can check it out. I think it just could have done a little bit of a better job. You're opening up chests. Like, just tell me what's in the chest the first time so that I know. I didn't realize that there was like a quick, like hold L1, hit square, triangle, or circle that you could actually assign those buttons. I didn't know that. And I know it's a demo and you're supposed to, the replayability is supposed to be there. But I just hope that they could just do a slightly better job of teaching people how this works, because there's a lot of stuff that's probably going to change in this game compared to the original or compared to how other turn-based Final Fantasies have been playing.
Yeah, what you see in a demo, just the combat is completely different. So
Yeah.
They're gonna have to teach people how to play this game.
And combat-wise,
Even
they
if
did
they
a
play
really
Final
good
Fantasy
job of
VII
that. Like, smash circle and do this and build this up, and
Yeah.
and even how much magic points you have and how much how you use your spells and your abilities.
Yeah. Anything else?
For playing, no. Watching, my wife and I ended up we were looking for a different show to watch a little bit, and we're not really sure why. We watched the first season of Tom Clancy's Jack Ryan on Amazon. Pretty good. It's like 7 or 8 episodes at like 45 minutes apiece, and it tells a good story from beginning to end. Just another like military kind of drama of an analyst, and it's cool. My wife's like, "Oh, it's Tom Clancy." She's like, "It's gonna be like your video games." I'm like, no, that's just the tacticalness that they have of the games. This is his own creativeness to it. I've never read a Tom Clancy book before, but I know that they're super, super descriptive on terms of the tactics that are in there. That's like his selling point.
Yeah.
But it was cool. I was entertained by it, so it's something you guys should check out if you're into those at all. It's not very gory, and to quote something my wife said, it actually does a really good job of using bad language properly, like when it was needed. It wasn't just overly excessive.
Mm-hmm.
It seemed to fit. She sometimes gets bothered, like when there's a lot of cursing in games and movies and television. She just doesn't feel like it's always necessary, but in certain situations, she felt like almost every time it fit the dynamic of the show when it was needed to be there.
Yeah, sometimes that shit could be super fucking unnecessary.
But yeah, that's it for playing and watching.
Yeah. All right. For me, I hopped into a bunch of shooters last week, hopping between Apex because there's a new season, Overwatch because the season's almost over, and then Call of Duty Season 2. So I played a little bit of each one, probably just like an hour or two of each game, which really fucked me up. I'm just gonna start cursing so much extra now. It messed me up because Dave's just shaking his head. Switching from very different shooter to very different shooter can be quite a challenge. So I probably played all 3 of the games very poorly because I was just bouncing between all of them. I haven't played too much though. Video games. I'm currently working on playing a game we'll have for review either next week or the week after for the Switch called Half Past Fate. Can't really talk about it right now, but just so you guys know, like I am playing games. I can't talk about them because I've been playing this the last like 2 weeks and it's been taking up a good chunk of time when I had free time. But my weekend from Friday to Sunday, I was at C2E2, which is the Comic-Con of Chicago. And me and Sarah, the last couple of years have gotten a hotel, like the hotel connected to the convention center. Cause the way the Chicago McCormick Place works is there's like 3 convention centers that are all connected to each other. And each convention center has a different hotel connected to that. And they're all connected together. So we got a hotel at one of the hotels connected to the convention center. So we basically didn't go outside for 3 days. We were just inside our hotel taking skyline bridges to the convention center each day. We bought so much fucking art from Artist Alley. It's ridiculous. I put a picture on Twitter of just some of the stuff we have. We actually went to Joanne Craft today just to get frames for all the stuff because I don't like just to put stuff unframed on the wall. And my desk area already has a bunch of stuff hanging on the wall, so I have so much like pieces of art that I now need to find a spot for. It's kind of fucking insane. Cursing again. How much stuff I just have and how many pieces. Like I don't have walls, but I kept buying stuff and she bought stuff. And each day we would be like, we're done, right? We're not going to buy anything tomorrow, and then find something, and then buy it again, or and then buy it, and then we rinse and repeat for 3 days.
You got that really cool slanted wall behind you. You get really creative with art.
I know. I actually even trying to figure out a way to frame something on there. Like I might have to break my rule and then just put something unframed on there because that's the only way I'm going to get it to stick.
Sticky tack posters or something.
It's going to have to be like that, and I just don't want to ruin like a beautiful piece of like artwork. Because then when I eventually move, that stuff's not going to come off right. So every year, C2E2 is home of the cosplay championships, where they get C2E2 is run by Reed Pop, who run New York Comic Con, Emerald City Comic Con, and like Comic Con France, Comic Con Singapore, Comic Con India. Like they do conventions all over the world, and they pick the best cosplayer from each of those shows and have them compete in different categories at C2E2, and then they crown a champion. There's always some amazing stuff. The United States winner was from C2E2, and they had an amazing Moira cosplay from Overwatch that actually had like the LED backpack that changed colors, from healing to attack color. Fantastic work. They didn't win the overall championships. That went to someone from South Africa who had a priestess outfit from a game I never heard of, but it looked amazing. There was just the level of creativity at the cosplay championships is just insane. And because the cosplay championships are at C2E2, a lot of people do travel from around the world to display their cosplay at the convention, even if they're not in the tournament, just because it's now kind of a place you go to show off like all the hard work you're doing.
Do you think PAX being the same weekend affected it at all?
No, so it's run by the same company. Reed Pop Entertainment runs PAX and runs C2E2, and for whatever reason, they put it on the same weekend as PAX. Like they announced next year's date, and they picked the same date as PAX for next year. It probably means
Michael's
C2E2
not going to PAX East with me next year.
Yeah. It probably means that video game companies just they have a reason not to have a presence at C2E2 because they're at PAX East, which is a shame. But it was extra crazy because on Saturday the AEW wrestling or AEW they had a pay-per-view in a basketball arena that is also connected to the convention center and my hotel. So Saturday had Comic-Con and a wrestling event happening at the same time, which meant it was insane. I actually discovered Friday night when I went to wait for the delivery driver for my food that all the wrestlers at that show were staying in my hotel. So I got to see a bunch of wrestlers in the hotel getting drunk, just hanging out in the lobby, and it was insane. I was just like I don't get like awestruck, but I was like, oh my god, that's that character, that's that character. Tony Khan, who's like the owner of the Jacksonville Jaguars, he owns AEW.
Yeah.
Seeing him just like with like three wrestlers waiting to get a table at the restaurant downstairs, and he's waiting patiently, and I'm just like, this man can't get a table for a half hour, but he's a billionaire. Like, they're going to get this man a table.
He's got more cash in his pocket than I've seen in my life.
Yeah, and that was kind of cool.
And of course, Michael, being the extroverted person that he is, he went up to these people and tried to talk to them and get autographs and pictures. I know you did.
No. I no. But here's the thing. Because I'm a wrestling fan, I know how wrestlers are in terms of like, they don't want to be bothered when they're in their hotel and they're just trying to have dinner. Like I wanted to bother them. Like, if I saw them like outside of the hotel, I might have said something, like hi or something. But because they were like just they were out of character, first of all, and I don't want to break kayfabe. Like I don't want to see them out of character. Seeing Orange Cassidy out of character just kind of fucked with my brain a little bit, and I didn't want to talk to him because he doesn't talk. I don't want to hear him talk. I didn't want to bother any of them, though. Dean Malenko at one point was behind me in line waiting to buy like a drink. And I did talk to him because he was like, this line. And I'm just like, yeah, this line's real bad. And then I looked around like, that's fucking Dean Malenko. Bought my soda and then ran upstairs.
That doesn't count as talking, just for the record.
And what was kind of crazy though, which like kind of proved my point of just like why I don't like to bother them when they're like just trying to be normal people, is the arena is so close to the hotel, like it's an alley apart. When I went to go wait for like my delivery driver to drop food, I would see security walking one wrestler at a time from the arena to the hotel, and they were just kind of walking them, running them to the elevator, forth, and just seeing like the fans that, you know, didn't have a reason to be in the hotel, just like waiting outside the arena to like ask them for like photos and photos and autographs, and just seeing the wrestlers being like, leave me alone. I just want to be in my hotel. And then in the lobby, there was clearly fans that got a hotel room just because they know the wrestlers were going to be there, because they were all just in the lobby waiting for them to sign. And it was weird seeing that and just being like, that must suck. Like, you just put on this big show. You're doing meet and greets at the convention all weekend, and you're doing meet and greets before the pay-per-view started. You just want to get to your hotel, maybe get a drink and crash. And then you just have these people putting their phone in their face, like asking you like really dumb questions. It was seeing that firsthand. I was just like, I'm glad I didn't bother them when they were just trying to get drunk in the lobby. But it was weird. Every night when I went to either coming back from the show, the convention, or when I would go downstairs and be like, oh, I need to pick up food or get a drink, just seeing all these different people in the lobby. So every time I would go down to the messaging Sarah, like, yep, saw him, and she'll each time be like, get a picture, get an autograph, get a picture, an autograph. And I'm just like, nope, can't do it. Refuse to do it. But that was amazing. Just experiencing that part. I think that was actually my favorite part of the whole C2E2 weekend, is just seeing wrestlers in the wild and just spotting them, especially. So the Friday, I did go out one time, and that was just because we wanted to get like pizza from the pizza place around the corner. As we passed the arena, if you look into the arena, you would see them practicing for the pay-per-view, which was kind of cool because you'd see people just like doing like flips or just testing out the ring. So if you just popped your head like in the direction of the arena, you would see through like one of the aisles, where like the fans get in. You would just see some of the wrestling happening because it's a really small basketball arena. It's where the Blue Demons play, the DePaul play. So it's like a college basketball arena, kind of small. Seeing them like practicing, and then occasionally you'll see like a wrestler like Orange Cassidy at one point just like walks out of the arena with like security guards, and all the security guards are way bigger than the wrestlers, which I thought was funny. But to seeing him in like full wrestling gear Friday, clearly not from Chicago because he was in like his wrestling gear, which is like sweatpants and like a white t-shirt. It's 20 degrees in Chicago. You can tell he didn't expect the cold to hit him that hard. And just seeing them like leaving the arena and then like to their hotel as soon as that Chicago weather, it's right by the lake, so that water's, or that wind is just horrible. It was just cool just experiencing that. I wish I could have went to the show, but scalpers like ruined ticket sales for that as soon as they announced that it was happening that weekend. But it was really cool seeing like all the wrestlers. And then I got to buy a stupid amount of art. And I lived, at least so far I have. I was using Tizer a couple seconds. Because of course, if anytime you have a convention with like 50,000 people, especially right now, you have to worry about getting a convention flu or worse.
Yeah.
So I survived. I made it out and got to see a bunch of wrestlers and buy a lot of cool art.
Awesome.
Yeah. But I haven't been playing anything and then watching. started to watch The Office again because it's leaving Netflix this year, but that's about it.
So we got 2 questions this week. So again, you can hit us up through the Facebook group, through Twitter, Discord, using hashtag AskDigitalDays. And pretty big push on more non-gaming things. So just if you guys want to get to know us a little bit better, it's a good way to do that. So Robert sends in, does anyone else just game in their pants? Boxer shorts for non-US folks, which I think is interesting that he says non-US folks, because I call them boxers.
Well, yeah, I mean, that's true, but yeah. But no, yeah, I don't know why he said it that way.
Yeah, I don't
That's
either.
weird.
So, and then he said he knows another listener, which I'm guessing is a buddy of his, Matt Lowe, has special gaming clothing he likes to wear. And then Matt replied to him, the special Monster Hunter t-shirt is my favorite. That sounds like a lot of inside baseball. I don't really want to know what that means.
How they know that, I don't know.
But no, like for the most part, I will put on a pair of gym shorts and a t-shirt almost all of the time. Like I will not game like just in my underwear. I won't do that. Partially for 2 reasons. One, the chair that I sit in is all leather, and it's cold. And
Then
2,
in the summer, peeling off of that.
well, it's in my basement, so my basement's usually always pretty well comfortable. It's cold in the winter, and it's relatively cool in the summer. But and then also now with as much as I've been streaming and things like that, like sometimes I just get a camera to stream. So for the most part, I do actually, before I go downstairs to play video games, 75% of the time I think about what I have on before I go down there.
Isn't that a bitch? Like I do that too now, where I'm just like, let me make sure I got like a good t-shirt today.
Yeah. So like, yeah, for the most part, like my gaming is turned more into like, and I love it. Like, don't get me wrong, I love interacting with you guys when we stream, and getting different conversations going it's always a blast. But just a little bit more self-conscious of what I'm doing before I start doing things.
For me, I don't have any special outfits. The only rule I have is like, as soon as I get home from work, I can't wear my work clothes. I need to switch out into something else.
Yeah.
So like I wear anything, but I don't just wear boxers. I also have cats now, so cats like to hop in your lap and then dig their claws in you. So
the more layers, the better.
yeah, I need to be as well.
I used to be like that too with work. Before, like with where I work now, I can work in jeans and like a polo. So that's not like, or a button up, and that's not uncommon for me to dress that way. But when I used to work for Foot Locker, like I'd get home and the stripes would come off right away.
No, so like I can wear whatever jeans I want to, but if I wear the jeans to work, I can't wear them at home. Like those clothes become dead to me. And I specifically pick clothes I don't care about to be the clothes I'll wear to work, because if I start wearing those to work, I hate them with a passion.
Oh,
and I can't. I can't. As soon as I get home, I need to change. Even if I'm changing from one pair of jeans to another pair of jeans, I have to as soon as I get home. But I also take the bus, so they might have play a part in it too, where I'm just like, I was on the bus.
Yeah, for me, sometimes I literally go from work to like a swimming activity or to another to pick up Owen, and then I get home and I'm like, no, I'm not gonna. Yeah, I have a zip up hoodie that I put on. If you guys like during the winter, if you see me streaming a lot, like I had a white hoodie, like this white and gray hoodie on. That hoodie usually stays down here, so that it's just something to help keep me warm, and it's just like almost like a jacket, but it's just here, and I put it on. It's cheap. I think my wife bought it for me like at Walmart. She's like, here, wear this when you're in the basement. But yeah, so that's with that. So, and then Randy Pinnock, who was hanging out in the stream today when I was streaming Final Fantasy, he's a big wrestling fan as well. For MJC, what will it take for you to give up on WWE? Apparently, he's almost there.
Ooh, I'm also almost there as well. They continue to push old people, and that's really bad how they're doing it. The creative is really bad. I might be there as well. I will still watch NXT, which is under the WWE umbrella. But that's probably like right now all I'm watching is NXT and I'm casually watching AEW. I follow the cliff notes for WWE proper, and I have no real desire to sit and watch a WWE show. I'll watch WrestleMania. That is about it when that comes around next month. But I'm right there with you, Randy. I'm almost done with WWE in their current direction.
And he said for both of us, do you have an order that you like your sandwich / burgers made? Example, bottom bun, ketchup, then patty, then cheese, then top bun. My brother has to have the cheese on the bottom of his sandwich. I don't think I have an order.
Yeah, so when I go, well, I'm assuming this is when he's making it himself. I hope you're not asking when you go to a burger place like for a specific order, because I even when I go to a specific restaurant, I don't ask them to take anything off. Whatever their burger is on the menu, that's the way they want it made. I will have it that way. I will not ask for anything to be removed or anything added. I will just have it the way they make it because they should know what they're doing.
I agree.
So
Unless
it
it's
should be
mayonnaise.
good.
Mayonnaise is terrible, so mayonnaise has got to go.
But like, if they have a burger that doesn't have mayonnaise, would you do that?
No. Like if there's a chipotle, like I've even gotten to the point where like a chipotle style dressing, I'm fine with that. Like if you order a certain kind of burger, like I have a thing with mayonnaise. Like I just don't like it. So.
You're picky. You're picky.
It's just mayonnaise.
And it comes with like when I'm making my own burger, everything's just on top of the burger. I don't do anything on like separate like thing. Like he puts cheese on the bottom. I put everything on top. But if someone's making me a burger, I'm not gonna be like, oh, please put the cheese on the bottom. I'm just gonna whatever. And then if I'm making it myself, it's just everything's on top of the burger.
Yeah, I don't think that there's any special order that I do anything into. Yeah, I mean, I've done ketchup on the top bun so it's there, and I've also just put it right directly on the patty and then put the bun on top of it. So I don't think I have anything specific.
Yeah, there's nothing's too specific with it. I'm not like trying to eat a Krabby Patty or anything like that. It's just whatever way it's made, I'm fine.
All right, so that is the majority of the show. Do you have anything that you wanted to spotlight? I know you kind of briefly touched upon what you've been working on a little bit.
Nothing at the moment. I'm hoping to my because of the vacation I took, mini vacation. It was only 3 days off. It kind of messed up my work schedule for the next week, so I don't know exactly the next time I'm gonna be able to stream. But hopefully by then I will find another game to play or another indie game to spotlight. Dave knows the struggle of you take any time off from work in retail, they punish you the week you come back.
For me, I didn't realize this until my son kind of brought it to my attention, but MLB The Show comes out like in 10 days.
That's a video game, yeah. I haven't played a show game in a while.
Yeah. So, he's really big into that. So that's kind of the spotlight for me, is that I would be willing to play that. And I would also be curious. I've been talking to a couple people in the community. I don't even know how this would work, but let me know. Do you guys want to attempt to try to do even a small online franchise? Maybe we do like a 20-game season. That even sounds terrible. like a 8 or 10 game season of where we play everybody once or twice and try to get it done in like 2 months. Like, I mean, there's a part of me that would love to do like a 40 or 50 game season, but then that's like a whole year commitment of playing the game, like trying to fit around everybody's schedule of getting 1 game done a week or 2 games done a week. Like that just sounds like mini torture of matching schedules up. Nor do I think that we have that many people in the community that would A, buy MLB The Show, and B, want to be in part of the of it. So, but please, yeah, let me know. Like, it's something I think would be kind of cool for us to mess around with. I'm sure my son would do it, and he'd probably just like kill all of us in that game because that's all he plays. But yep, that's our show. So again, just follow us on social media. The main account, Twitter, is @DigitalDaysPod. Michael is @TheFirstMJC. Mine is Good Dave Hunt. You can join the Facebook group. Just search Digital Days Gaming, and then you can also just check out patreon.com/Digital Days Gaming, where we have a couple of different tiers for you, where you can just give us tips to help us pay for the fees for the podcast. You can spend $3 and get access to our private Discord channel, and $5 gets you the Discord channel and early access to 24-hour early access to the podcast. And then the $7 is bonus content, which we are still working on, trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
All right, that's it. You got anything else, Michael?
No. Just play some games out there. I gotta play some more games. I think I'm done with like my shooters right now, so I just need to find some non-shooter games to play.
Yeah, and I think I'm actually gonna this week give Apex a fair shot, like a night or two of just playing it. So I got a desire to play that. I don't know why. So, I think I got 2 kills lifetime in that game.
Maybe I will say I won't play any shooters again, and then I'll hop on with you. We'll see.
So, all right. I hope everyone has an awesome week, and keep moving forward. Talk to you next week.
See ya.